Hey there, guys. We've got the final bosses for Dark Visions number 25 on Global. In this video, we're going to be going to the magical and the physical sub-bosses, and then we're going to be doing the actual final boss in a different video. So let's start with the mage fight. So this one is a spirit weak to water and light mages, magical attacks. He is immune to physical attacks, but we're going to use the re-raise trick to kill her with physical mages like Olive anyway. So let's get in here and do a clear. I'm leaving a party slot empty so that if you don't have the exact same units or you need more damage, you can add an extra unit. But, we're going to be basically using Tsukiko and Olive to solo the fight, but we got to kill the boss first. So here's some auto casting. Give it just a second. Okay. Now we're going to use Olive, who was on the Carbuncle with Reflect Learn, to cast Reflect on herself. Cecil is going to start in the base for the field, go to the shift, and we're going to re-raise Olive and bounce that re-raise onto the boss. Then we're going to Omni Cover on turn 1 because there is a fixed attack, and we're going to Paladin Sword to do a Light in Peril. Cetra Descendant Aerith will do her base form LB to imbue light, amplify light, etc. Tsukiko is going to triple Solar Flare. We've got to kill the boss on turn 1. We're going to kill it on turn 1 to make it re-raise. And then we're going to Blue Wave with Frievia. Notice you cannot use her normal attacks because they will get resisted. So we're going to Blue Wave because that's actually magic. And go ahead and chain these up. And this should kill the boss on turn 1 very comfortably. We broke the boss with Obsidian Bracer. So the boss re-raises and no longer has the mitigation. So now we can use anything we want to kill the boss, including physical mages like Olive, Tsukiko, etc. There's the fixed attack that ignores normal cover, and Cecil Omni covered it no problem. So Tsukiko will go to the base form on this turn and do her magic boost. We're going to use Aerith to Nethicite this turn with Sword of Kings. It's a permanent item. Ash's Estimar. So we're going to power to destroy Nethicite in order to stop the boss's gravity attack. Cecil on this turn can just do regular cover. Olive can get ready for bursting next turn. Notice we're not doing Olive's whole setup with like unlocking the Magnus and all that. We're not going to need it, honestly. So we'll go ahead and just double break. We'll double kill her and then focus as her last action, Giant Melon. And then Frievia is going to do Pressure, Flick, and End Guard, just to break the boss by 88% and do a big Light in Peril. So here's some attacks this turn. Nothing too big, magic damage, etc. Cecil is covering it. And then we Nethicited we Sword of Kings that gravity attacks. We don't take any damage from it. Now it's time to kill the boss. So we're going to go ahead and SLB Olive. We're going to just do Extreme Nova Frames on Cecil. Tsukiko, go back to the shift form. And we'll do Shining Karmic. And then we'll just do Blue Wave again with you. Doesn't really matter. She's basically naked. So we're going to start, though, with a Rod in Peril and then triple Flame Fang. So we're going to click Aerith first, then we're going to click the others. So we're going to click Aerith, wait just a moment, click this, and then click this. And that should be a 100 count chain score, and we should do 4 billion or better. I'm pretty sure we did based on that last hit. But yeah, 4 billion or better, 6.65. Perfect score, minimal damage taken, 5 units. Aerith and Frievia are basically naked. So it's really all just, a magical cover or an Omni cover tank, etc. So that was massive overkill. We did more than 50% of the damage we needed. So we needed 4 billion. Tsukiko does it all by herself. So if you don't have Olive, you can use someone like Louise. It'd be totally fine. So Tsukiko... Oh, actually, she did some chaining damage on turn 1, too. Anyway, you get the idea. I only used 5 units. So I'll go ahead and show you the team's gear, and then we'll bounce over to the physical fight, and then I'll start getting ready for the final fight in a different video. So let me show you the team we used. So Frievia is just using Blue Wave, a little bit of Esperfill just because, and kind of it. Basically naked because whatever. Tsukiko in the base form, just a source of magic boost. You don't need that if you don't have it. As you saw, we did big overkill. Just add more units. Shift form is evocation damage. It's very generic, same build versus everything, and there it is. Olive, LB damage versus spirits. There it is. I'm pretty sure she's capped on everything. Maxed LB damage, max spirit killer, etc. There it is. And she's on the Carbuncle Esper for Reflect. Now, if you have the Reflect ring, just stick that on Cecil or something, and you don't need to worry about Carbuncle, but, you know, there it is. Cecil in the base form is using the Obsidian Bracer. We start in the base form. That's our breaks on turn 1 so we can kill the boss. And then shift form is built for damage with evasion, passive provoke, and death immunity. You also need paralyze immunity on your entire party. So make sure everyone is paralyzed immune from gear. And then extreme Nova frames. Aerith in the base form, status immune, a little bit of Esper fill. She does her LB on turn 1. Turn 2, she does Sword of Kings to stop the gravity attack so we don't take any damage and lose any points. And yeah, and she support chains a little bit in phase 2 with the Rod in Peril, because Tsukiko was busy doing focus instead of her own Rod in Peril, so yeah. Anyway, I have a turn chart in the comments. There was the magic boss. Let me jump to the physical boss in just a second. See you in a bit. Alright guys, next up we're going to the physical fight. This one is immune to magical attacks, and if you really want to, you could re-rage the boss. That way you could use like mages, but there's really no reason to. So this is a human, weak to water and dark. So weak to dark, human, sounds like a job for Sephiroth. So we're going to be taking this party. Basically Sephiroth is going to solo damage cap. Here we go. And we're leaving, once again, a party slot empty so you can fill that with literally whatever you want. And we're going to overkill, I hope, by a decent chunk. So, yeah. Okay, so we're going to have Ihana on turn 1 once all the auto-casting. Actually, before we do that, let's go ahead and stack up Sephiroth so we don't actually kill the boss. So before we do any breaks or anything, let's start him in the base for Titus STMR, go to the shift, and use his shifted LB. And deal a little bit of damage. Okay, now Ihana is going to use the Imperil spell. Venera is going to use Dark Breaker, the materia. That's just because it gives a slightly higher break, or slightly higher Imperil than her natural Imperil. Sylvie is going to use the shifted LB for the mod buffs. Cecil, start in the base, go to the shift, where we're going to, in this order, cover, Omni-cover, and Shelga. Okay. Turn 1, the boss does, I think, some fixed attacks, or maybe physical. I don't remember. I looked up his AI a few days ago when I made this team. You know, we're omni-covering whatever it is. I think it's ice and earth damage the boss does, and yeah, we resisted it all, so whatever. So turn 2, we're going to have Sephiroth. We're going to have, what's her name? Sylvie is going to I've Got Your Back on Sephiroth to buff him up. Sephiroth will do his... Oh, I'm not used to it on global. No, it's not Fallen Angel. Elemental Burst Dark is his global version of the 150 Imperil, or 150 Amplify. Cecil will just guard this turn. Ihana is going to do Human Rune on Sephiroth, and Venera will do her Magnus. So we are going to be, you know, kind of heavily overkilling this boss, FYI. So, you know, you don't need Ihana, you don't need stuff like that, but whatever. So here we go, some attacks with Cecil. We magic cover them, no big deal. And now it is time to kill the boss. So Cecil will just use Extreme Nova for materia. So will Sylvie. Ihana is just going to dual wield on a Flood Esper. So will Venera. These are all physical typed attacks. So they're going to, you know, deal, or they're going to actually hurt the boss. And then we'll just LB Sephiroth, and that should be, you know, enough. So let's go ahead and chain this up. So we need, what's it called? We needed 4 billion. Sephiroth hit the literal damage cap. He hit for 99999. Yeah. Yeah. Dark weak fights, the answer is Sephiroth, and that was more than you needed for obvious reasons. We only use one damage dealer. 5 party slots empty. Sephiroth hit the literal 99999 damage cap. All we needed was 4 of that. And there it is. I'll show you the team, and then it's time to bounce over to the physical fight. Or the final fight. Okay, so let's see here. So Venera and Ihana are both on Flood Esper. That's just for support chaining. You can't use things like Blue Wave or Scarlet Wave because those are magical typed and they'll be immune. So we went old school. We gave them Kokurayu and Leviathan for Flood chaining. You could also just use their regular chains, whatever you want, just some kind of way to support chain to 100 count. Dual wielding with a dark weapon so that we get the weakness credit. So dark wielding, dual wielding. The Imperil spell, just so that we lower the boss's thunder and water resist and all that. You know, just whatever. And then she's basically a 250 human killer. Replace her with any human killer you want. Venera, just our breaker. Passive provoke evasion, though, as well. Dark breaker, just because it gives a 130 dark imperil. Hers is only 120. And then she's a 90 defense breaker, dual wielding on a Flood Esper. Cecil, base form, auto field. Shift form has ice and earth resist, so that we immune all the magic stuff. The Omni covers on turn 1. Other than that, an Extreme Nova Materia. Then Sylvie, LB's Extreme Nova Materia, Dark Weapon on Cecil, by the way. And yeah, Sylvie, just, Extreme Nova, and LB's and buffs. And then Sephiroth, base form, Titus Garb, shift form, LB damage versus humans, and maxed on everything, empty slots because we were maxed on everything. There's nothing else to equip. Okay, time for the final boss. See you in a few minutes.